Hi, I'm Erik, co-founder and CEO of SNS, here talking it through with Sneaker Freaker. So this is the SNS Paris store. It's about 10 years old. London was first outside of Sweden, Paris, Berlin, New York, LA, Tokyo, and then we rewind. I do foresee a lot of conversations. There's a lot of like, hey, what happened? What's going on? What's going to happen now? Which is fair. Wherever I go for the past couple of months, that's been sort of the topic. I think there's not one straight answer to that. There's not one thing. We had tremendous growth for good 10 years almost. We were around before that for a good 10 years without seeing huge growth. But once we shifted gear and started to sort of grow abroad, it got interesting for a lot of other people, and it wasn't necessarily clear what was driving the business, or there was disagreements, I would say. What's important to uphold this level of turnover, what's important to sort of uphold this growth. During the pandemic and the logistical problems, a lot of launches got on pause or delayed, even like with a year almost. So we started receiving product in 21 and 22 that was supposed to release for Olympics in 2020. So you could see that the product flow was like off. So that gave the business a huge boost in 22, which I think was the highest turnover and a lot of numbers. But that also kind of like, it really marks the peak, and there was nothing else coming after that. It's the whole wave of Travis, Off-Whites, and the trends that sort of filters out throughout that with, every brand kind of jumped on it. And, those trends fade, as all trends do eventually. And there was no new clear trend on the horizon. It was just like, oh, where do we go from here? The order books are filled with this stuff that nobody wants anymore. But we had disagreements on what the vision should be. And that's where I left. Because to me, I kind of saw it in 19 when we opened in Tokyo. It became quite clear to me that SNS needs to be stronger and more clear as a brand in its own. The management wanted to focus more on the digital side, data-driven, wider audience, wider consumer. Data was showing that we had an overlap in consumer base with wider tiers. But I don't think it should be mistaken for what the purpose of SNS is. Our purpose is to sort of hand over the next trend, build, emerge, like take these next things, plant them in the market, scale them, and then hand it over to the big box and take the next one. That's kind of our role in this ecosystem. So I'm not sure if lack of vision was the thing. I think lack of ambition to be higher up, maybe. I think that was where we disagreed. The bigger thing that happened was the shift in the market. And then we had different ideas on how to mitigate that shift. It's not a matter of like, hey, I was right, because it was painful to see, painful to watch. I was still on the board for a long time trying to fight for change or a new direction, but ultimately we didn't agree. I've done SNS my entire adult life, right? I was like 20 when we started, so I've done nothing else. It took a lot of time for me to sort of like understand who am I without this, who am I as a person, like all of this. But I had a good couple of years to sort of kick back and figure that out. It's fair for people to wonder what happened. Like it's natural, right? And the short answer is they ran out of money. The business model wasn't supporting. It wasn't financially sustainable. So to me, it wasn't a surprise. It was communicated and expected. I worked hard last summer together with the management to try to find a way. We didn't agree. So I kind of saw there was at a point of no return at that time. So it's just, oh, okay. then we just have to wait. I felt for everyone, because I mean, I obviously put my life into it, but we had people that worked 20 years, 24 years. Like, we had people that worked there for a couple of decades that put their life into this as well. And all of a sudden, just like on the drop of a dime, get fired, and there's a big bankruptcy sale, and like, that's tough, I think, for everybody to go through. And the uncertainty for people who, at the end, you also depend on like a job, salary. Like, it's not the greatest time to be unemployed, right? So I felt for everyone, for sure, but I didn't communicate much with everyone because it was also a semi-infected situation. I didn't want to poke around with it. It was just, I don't know, time will have to heal this a little bit before I get into it. Yeah, but then people started to call and ask, like, hey, am I interested to go back? That kind of when it sparked something. So yeah, I know exactly what I want to do. I don't know exactly how to get from A to B, but I know exactly where to go from B. So I need to work out the A to B part, but it's a no-brainer for me to sort of like try again. So I dusted off this plan that I made last summer and be like, yeah, this still holds from a big picture perspective. And then we had initial conversations with Reciproc, who I, at that point, had never talked to before. So completely new set of people. But I think we, in a way, bonded in these calls over the importance of culture and the importance of community and like how to build a brand. How do you restore the glory of the brand, so to speak? If you want to restore a brand that sits somewhere within youth culture and like energy, you have to allow them to drive it. I'll be the one to sort of provide a structure and like set the goals and help them with all the measurables and like things on how to do it. But I want to be facilitator of this, but you need to empower somebody else to do it at this point. No, I think it's a natural evolution of things. It's kind of like I picked up all these knowledge, like all these things. Hopefully now a little bit more mature, wiser, smarter, emotionally stable, like all of these things that comes with growth. And I kind of, to me, it's, I personally thrive off the energy I see in the next wave of people building things. There was a lot of confusion, I think, internally at SNS. Like, wait, somebody bought it. We don't know who it is. There's rumors floating around for a week, a very long week for everybody involved. Like, then February 28th, the signing. Sent out an email to everybody involved, like, hey, see you guys Monday. We're still in a phase where we are taking care of what was decided 9 months ago, 18 months ago. Like, it's a long time to change things. So it's not until January we are more like full control of what we do. Up until then is like hustling, trying to get the right product, not knowing what the order books look like, a lot of different things. You can sort of speak about the change a little bit on SNS, trying to reach a wider audience with a much wider assortment. So one part is make sure we go back to curation a little bit, so we can have a little bit more of a distinction in our offering, because I like to think of a brand as a person, and as a brand or as a person, you kind of have to affiliate yourself with some kind of subculture movements or cultural movements. That's how you describe yourself. That's how you are who you are. So it's not that sort of much different from building a brand. It's just like, oh, we have to identify what subcultures we are about, and then we have to dive into that and be a part of it, because just like a person can't say that, oh, I'm all about rock music, and you have no clue what rock music is, then that doesn't work. Now it's more a matter of getting everybody aligned on what we want to do, and then also us actually doing it. It's one thing to build a deck, like, look, this is what we're going to do, but you also have to do it. And I think our approach is to do a little of all of this at the same time. So we will explain the vision, but we also need to do a couple of things. So we already, I think, the past couple of months, hosted 20 events, I think, but quite local. 200 people in the store for a party in Berlin, or 400 people on the guest list in Stockholm. Like all of these things, touch points to really zoom in on the local community and like uplift and enable them. I mean, America has always been a big part of SNS business. Sneakers as a thing, as a trend, sort of derives from New York, in my point of view. Like, SNS history starts in New York. We used to go there, pick up the shoes that we couldn't get in Europe, and like all of that old history that we all heard a million times. So SNS to me has a very natural place in New York, and needs to be in New York. Technically, you also need physical presence in order to drive business. I'm sure there are ways to build great e-com business, but I think it's easier to personify the brand if you have a physical location. So opening in New York, it's a matter of finding the right location, fitting it out, building a team, like all of this. I think there are great moments ahead, something that we can launch together with, some things that we've launched with Addy. We still have the GT series that we now kind of like build over years that will continue to sort of shine and live through. You have good product with Puma and Clarks and local communities. So I think that's very much on the horizon. For next year is when we start to sort of like the new SNS start to dwell into it. We have some performance running shoes coming out with Adidas for next year. That was the initial thing that already started to happen. So I think the industry has been very sort of like open to sort of like, yeah, let's get into it. And I think for us, it's more like, yeah, how do we also change direction a little bit so we just don't continue doing exactly what it was, because obviously that didn't work. So we have to switch things up a little bit. Right now it would be the Adidas GT shoe. It's something that we sort of did ourselves. It's a narrative that we owned for years. It started before I left and it kept going. So that's definitely something I'm more excited about. I'm excited for the women's functional basketball shoes. I'm excited for the Sabrina shoe. I'm excited for the Asia Wilson shoe. I grew up in the 90s playing basketball. Like, Michael Jordan was my house god. All the commercials, like everything that it kind of gave me the confidence as a basketball player to wear a product. I don't think the product per se made me better, but it gave me the confidence that made me better because I started to believe. So that's where I got sort of like hooked on sneakers. Something of that transcends to lifestyle as well. Like, you wear a pair of shoes that you feel good in, like makes you look good, you get people's eyes, like that element still exists. Not just on the basketball court or running, but in the streets, for sure. People look at me crazy when I talk about performance basketball shoes, but I come from a time where that was actually a big trend, and that was just after this low profile trend last time, 25 years ago. So it's not super unrealistic. At the end of the day, they're comfortable. They have that sort of flash and vibe to it. And obviously basketball has a huge place in my heart. So it's still in a quite rocky place, trying to figure out where to go. So I think the opportunity is to find the next, I would say, dare to go to the next stage. Now I kind of feel that we are at the end of a lot of trend cycles, and it's not clear on what is next. I think maybe the conversation about, is sneakers just about bringing back old stuff, or is sneakers also about bringing in new stuff? And if it is new, Does it have to be a lifestyle new? Like, I think the brands that we work with sometimes get caught up in internal conversations on like, no, this is a running shoe. You cannot wear this on the street until 10 years from now, then it will be a sneaker. Like that's not how it works. That's not how it started. I think the opportunity is to let trends or fashion and the kids decide what to wear. I mean, you see kids out here wearing football boots. They were definitely not designed to be in the streets. So I think it's good for the brand to sort of be a little bit more receptive of what's the demand out there, not just force something on them. Future of SNS is bright if we can focus on building these communities within the subcultures and connect product to these cultures so the product means something for the next generation. It's not too much focus on like, hey, we need to grow, we need to meet the numbers. It's more like, how wide can we build this community? A lot of people noticed the bankruptcy. A lot of people haven't even noticed. So, I mean, the subsidiaries went on, the website went on, the American business was intact, product flow, all of it. I'm wary of saying that we will change everything because people then expect it to change next week. So we will change, but you won't see it. It will just gradually happen, and then one day maybe we'll be like, see what we did?